Town manager, welcome to what's going on in town government. You know, we haven't done this for a while, so I'm like, forgot all about how to do it. I did a show with Parker while you were gone. I think we only did the one show, and took him a little while to warm up to the banter, but he came around. He did come around.
He's a good kid.
And he was very good, and we kept trying to do the show again, but each meeting was so late. Like they were getting over at like 10, and we said, oh, we're just too tired. We can't do them.
Right.
We can't do the show. So here's what's going on. A lot of things are going on. I know I always say that, but really and truly I mean it this time. Of course I mean it every time. So at our board meeting this week, we had some discussion about a license for Sconset Beach Preservation Fund for an erosion control project at the base of Sconset Bluff, which involves some town property. But really, there was also a lot of discussion about what project is going to occur there or not occur there. So I'm going to try to make a very long story short, and I hope I can do it properly.
Can I, before you do
that? Yes.
Is it to protect the road?
The town's application is to protect the road. The SBPF application is also to protect the road, but more to protect the houses.
Got it. All right.
So the town has an application that's been approved by Conservation Commission as an emergency to install 2 geotubes and 4 jute bags. However, that project has to be constructed within 30 days, and it's a $2.5 million project. We don't have the money, and we don't have the labor or the materials to do that project. So if we're going for it. Well, that remains to be seen. If we are going to do a project, we both need to do it, and SBPF needs to pay for it. That's really the bottom line. I hope that doesn't sound too harsh, but that's the bottom line. SBPF's application, which was denied by the local Concom, but approved by DEP, is for 4 geotubes. So here's the issue.
What's the difference, too, between a geotube and a jute bag?
I think the jute bag is more permeable. It's burlappy. And
they have them there now.
I think there's jute bags there now, or coir, or maybe they're about the same.
The geotubes are there?
No, I don't think there's any geotubes.
Right.
I could be wrong about that, but I don't think there's geotubes there now. In any case, but I might be wrong because I haven't memorized this whole thing. In any case, the issue is the use of the land, really, because there's town land and there's private land. So we need to come to terms with who's going to allow what on their land. So there was some discussion about conditions and insurance and liability and things like that at our meeting last night, as well as what project are we going to do. So the board ended up voting, not unanimously, to be a co-applicant with SBPF to submit an application to the Concom for 4 geotubes. So we're going to see how that goes. And then on Friday, tomorrow, at 4 o'clock, the board is meeting again at 4FG Community Room to discuss the license. Hopefully we won't be there all night on a Friday, but you never know. Okay, any questions about that?
How soon do they need to go in, these tubes, once they're approved? Okay. The idea with being the co-applicant with SBPF for the 4 geotubes to go back to Concom would be another emergency certification, so that would have to be done within 30 days. And my understanding is that SBPF is ready to get those geotubes in like tomorrow, or start getting them in tomorrow. So do they feel, it's quick. Do they feel that the geotubes are going to work instead of doing the hard toe?
I think the general consensus is that the geotubes are likely to be a temporary solution. They will stave off, ideally, immediate, more accelerated erosion, which is going to lead to failure of the road. So I think we all probably understand that the geotubes are temporary. They're buying us time. At the same time, we're also looking at alternative access options, and the discussions on that are heating up towards finalization, because there's a fear that a section of this road, geotubes or no geotubes, might fail at any point. I shouldn't quite say it like that, but that's what we've heard from our engineers. Depending on storms, depending on different conditions, we don't want to be in the position of the road fails and there's no access to the residents. This is for the residents, really, that would be beyond the break. So there's active discussions going on about the alternative access. More to come on that at a meeting in January at the County Commissioners. The other item, which is actually kind of a big deal that we talked about at the board meeting last night, is the town budget, the fiscal 15 general fund budget. I gave the board the town administration recommendations, and we talked about a variety of things. We reviewed revenue projections, expense projections, the types of things that we would be recommending be included in the budget. We're in pretty decent financial shape right now, but we don't want to squander any unallocated funds. We want to be very conservative and responsible and not just spend while we do have a little bit of extra money, not a lot, a little. So I think the board is on board with that, and I think the FinCom will be on board with that as well. So we're discussing it again in our meeting next week, just some follow-up stuff. So as I said, the board is meeting tomorrow about Baxter Road again. Today at 4 o'clock, this might be on after, but the FinCom has a public hearing regarding citizen warrant articles. Monday, they're talking about citizen warrant articles again, the FinCom, at 4 o'clock at 4FG. Tuesday, there is a bulk fuel information meeting. We have a bulk fuel study out, which, to boil it all down, relates to moving the tank farm out of town. We hired a consultant last summer to do yet another study on this, and they've done a lot of very detailed look at traffic issues and regulatory matters, things like that, and some review of where this proposed tank farm would go, which would be out on perhaps town land by the airport. So the consultants are giving this sort of preliminary review of their findings on the 17th at 4 o'clock at 4FG. I'm going to the school committee meeting at 6 o'clock to give them the same budget presentation I gave to the board last night. And at the board's meeting next Wednesday, some of the things they're doing include annual license renewals. There's a county commissioners meeting too. We're talking about Bartlett Farm Road again, the parking situation. And one of the things that I hope to have some information back on is something came up at the last county commissioners meeting in November when we talked about this, which related to smooth hummocks, the dirt road down on the left before the curve. Mm-hmm. It's a private way, and whether or not the town can ticket on it and what you have to do to be able to do that. So we're waiting for a legal opinion on that. The budget again next week, as I mentioned, 2014 annual town meeting warrant articles, more discussion on that. The board had some discussion in November about that. Now we're going to be talking about it again. We have a series of liquor license violations that have come up. I think they mostly relate to underage sales. Ooh. And the police department, we have Town of Nantucket rules and regulations regarding governing alcoholic beverages, and there's provision in here that basically says if the establishment and the police department sort of come to some kind of a settlement as to what the punishment is going to be, it must be approved by the board, and that ends up being sort of the agreed upon punishment. And some of it is closures for a certain period of time, not very long, a day or two. So we're going to be hearing about that.
Did they just do some sort of a sting operation?
I think there was a sting over the summer.
Okay.
Yeah, and the board had, police department had mentioned that was going to be going on. I think I have a vague recollection of that. Anyway, we're also getting a quarterly wastewater update, which will involve an update about the Phase 2B downtown sewer rehab project, this comprehensive wastewater management plan update, the reconstruction of the jetties, which you might think, what does that have to do with wastewater? But what that has to do with is some studies that have been done show that if the jetties are reconstructed to be a little bit higher, it will improve circulation in the harbor, and that will help any of the, any of the nitrogen, I guess, that comes into the harbor from various sources. It'll help reduce that and bring us to a level that is acceptable. Not that it's unacceptable now. It's extremely low comparatively, but it needs to be dealt with. And of course, this reconstruction could take, it's years out, really. The other update we're getting from our consultant, Woodard and Kern, is about Myacomet Pond. They are undergoing a study for us about Myacomet Pond watershed and what potential mitigation might be for areas that are flooded from time to time. So we're going to hear an update about how that study is going. And what else? Oh, there's a proposal for a music festival in the first weekend of August at Tom Nevers. So we're going to be hearing a little bit more about that. There initially was a proposal for this music festival to occur over Labor Day weekend at Jetties, and there was expected to be about 8,000 people there. And the town departments simply, that's just not something we have the resources to deal with on Labor Day weekend. So we asked particularly at that location. So we asked the sponsors to try to find another location.
Do we know what kind of music this is?
I forget. I want to say sort of, I don't know. I just don't remember.
You
I
don't?
wasn't.
Who's putting it to, who's it?
Well, the sponsors have been dealing with, we have a staff events group, which I'm not on. The assistant town manager's on it, visitor services director's on it, somebody from the police department, people like that.
Oh.
So I just haven't really touched base with them about what kind of music. I honestly, I probably ought to know, but I have a lot of other things to do. So that's that. So lots of stuff going on. And then the board does not meet on December 25th, thank God, and January 1st. So our next meeting after the 18th, unless something else is scheduled, is going to be January 8th.
That'll be nice. You're going to go on a little vacation.
I'm going to go on a little trip, Christmas
Good for
week.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yes, it is. Are you doing anything?
No, I just came back from a big trip, so I'm
You did, Gino. So we'll hear more about the trip on your channel.
Yes.
But I was so worried about you. Gino went to the Philippines right as the super typhoon hit.
Just after.
But
I was there
barely
just
after.
Right. I got to see a lot of
Devastation and destruction.
Yes.
It sounds absolutely horrific. I cannot imagine. I mean, but for the grace of God, are we...
Hey, you keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Because after you see something like this, you see how vulnerable a town like even ours. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
If Sandy had hit us,
Yeah.
that's a tiny little storm compared to what hit there. Tiny.
Wow.
They said that this typhoon was 6 times stronger than Katrina.
Oh my God. And that was that.
6 times
People
stronger.
still haven't totally recovered
That's
from that.
right. And I was there a month after that when I went down there to see that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh man, I just cannot even imagine those poor people.
They're tough though. They are
they?
resilient
Yeah.
people. They
You'd have
they don't
to
have a
be.
lot to begin with.
Yeah.
So they just pick up and start again.
Just keep going.
And keep
Yeah.
the smiles coming.
Oh wow.
They're amazing.
Okay, so lots of holiday things, I think, going on this weekend at various locations. The Police Charitable Christmas Party is going to be at the VFW this year on
Ooh.
Saturday.
Ooh.
Starts at noon. Yeah, that'll be exciting.
Will you be there?
Pretty cool. I'm going to try to get out there. Grace has a church thing to do at 11.
All right.
So we got to figure out.
I might go out there. I like that VFW.
I haven't been out yet.
Great place.
I know. It's just a timing thing, but I am excited to go out and check it out. So I think that's it. So we'll do again next week, and then we'll be probably off for a couple weeks.
Sure.
Okay. So thanks very much. See you next time.